Hey everybody, I'm Eric Rodriguez with your Garrison Public Affairs Office, and we're about to head out with Captain Watson to Jack Mountain Multi-Use Range, and we're going to watch the first team in action. Captain Watson, over to you.
Hi, my name is Captain Alan Watson. I'm from 3rd Armored Brigade Combat Team, 1st Cavalry Division, Grey Wolf. Today we are highlighting all things combined arms maneuver. Today we're going to highlight Apaches, Bradleys, and even a MICLIC. That and so much more on this week's episode of the Great Big Podcast. Hey, welcome back. I'm here with Captain Brown, and I'll allow him to introduce himself real quick.
Hello, my name is Captain Matthew Brown. I'm the commander for Alpha Company 27 Infantry. Today we conducted our company live fire evaluation on Table 6, which in terms of my responsibilities, I'm responsible for everything the company does or fails to do. So for this particular exercise, I'm maneuvering 3 platoons, integrating both engineers, indirect fire, and aviation assets to move through a combined arms breach and destroy enemy forces on the far side. In order to get to where we are today, we started back in the summer with individual level training and team level training, progressing up to squad and crew gunnery, culminating in platoon live fires in July, all of which gets us here today to combine all those elements into a company live fire. Yesterday we executed our dry runs and blanket iterations on the same terrain during the day and night, and recently today we just conducted and finished our live fire iteration. As the commander during that iteration, my primary focus is ensuring that the plan that we have deliberately rehearsed multiple times is being executed on the ground. Of course, as a commander, there's always going to be some friction. So my role as the commander is I prepare my lieutenants and the platoons to execute the plan, and as the plan starts to deviate, I have to say, hey, hold there, and you keep going for there. Like, I'm the one who calls the audible, so to speak.
Awesome. During the combined arms live fire today, did you notice anything that caused you to make an audible during this mission?
Very small variations, so I'm always keeping a very close eye on the tempo of the operation, right? Especially in the offense, you want to keep pressure on the enemy. And so my biggest, the only few additions I made today were maybe moving one platoon a little earlier than they had prepared to move. But again, I communicate that ahead of time so that they're prepared to execute when I tell them, hey, it's your time to go, make it happen.
Awesome. Did during the mission itself, what kicked it off? Like, what was that initial, like, hey, we're LDing, we're SPing? What was that allowed you to know that, hey, we're ready to start setting in and moving towards the objective?
So we moved to our positions under the cover of attack aviations, 2x AH-64s. To provide suppression on the objective as my elements moved to their support by fire lines. In addition, we also called 1 FA target and 2 mortar targets to suppress the enemy, again, to cover our occupation so that we can place direct fire weapon systems on the enemy. So at that point, I knew we were conditions ready to execute the plan.
Awesome. Once those platforms were set in position, where did y'all go from there? Like, talk me through the plan until you get to the trench.
Got it. So we have two sectors, so to speak. 1 platoon on the north sector, 2 by platoons, and an engineer platoon on the southern sector. As we move in, we establish a support by fire on both sectors, identify the breach, the mined wire obstacle. Once that breach is identified, we continue to suppress the enemy as we wait for smoke, artillery smoke to come in and billow around the objective, or the obstacle, excuse me. Once that smoke is thick enough that the engineers can move through, the engineers move up to the breach. They launch a MICLIC, an explosive line charge that detonates and blows through the obstacle. At that point, the engineers will mark and proof the lane so that we can move through it safely. They've certified that, hey, the obstacle is removed, you can move forces through this. Once we move through, so it's forward of the obstacle, we're basically successfully bounding by platoon until we reach our LOA. In the vicinity of our LOA is when we dropped our dismounted squads to seize key terrain identified as a trench on the southern sector. And at that point, the platoon leader in charge of the dismounted operation really takes over the fight, and I'm just ensuring that he has enough suppression from the mounted formation. But anyway, the infantry clears the trench. Once the trench was taken, we were given a frago to defend our position, so we moved 1 additional phase line and destroyed an enemy battalion attempting to counterattack to seize that key terrain.
All right, Captain Brown, so like when your vehicles are in position, can you talk a little bit more about the targetry itself, like here at Fort Cavazos and what you saw on the range today?
Roger, so the Bradleys are equipped with both an IBAS system and a CIV, so we have two capabilities to identify targets. Specifically at Fort Cavazos, we have a different plethora of dismounted troop targets, truck targets, PC targets, and even tank targets. So you can see a similar shape to what you're going to see in combat, which allows the gunners and the TCs of these Bradleys to be able to recognize in combat something similar. Today, the targetry was great. As rounds impact, the targets will present, and as they get hit, they'll go back down. So really give that positive feedback that like, hey, your rounds are on target, I've killed something, and I'm going to continue to advance.
Captain Brown, overall, how do you think y'all did today?
Overall, I'm very proud of my company. They went out there, our tempo was very, very good. We were a very smooth operation. We do have some stuff to work on. We do have another iteration at night, so you can always be better. You're always chasing the perfect run, the elusive perfect run. Because once you feel that perfect run in combat, that's when you're going to know what it feels like. You're like, I know what a perfect run feels like, and if you can mimic that in combat, you know you're killing the enemy.
Awesome, Captain Brown. That perfect run is in your future. I can feel it. Thank you so much.
Fort Cavazos Religious Support Office has partnered with the Central Texas Food Bank to provide fresh produce to military families during the Fresh Food for Families events. The mobile food pantry events are held the first Thursday of every month at the Phantom Warrior Stadium parking lot from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Food insecurity is an issue impacting families nationwide. The Fresh Food for Families initiative reduces the impact of rising food prices on military families who call the Great Place home. The program is open to everyone with access to the post. For more information on the program and future donation dates, visit the Fort Cavazos RSO Facebook page at www.facebook.com/Fort Cavazos RSO.
All right, we're back with Captain Watson. Sir, there ain't nothing like it. I love hearing 25 millimeters go off. I love watching the engineers get out there and get after, especially with cool things like a MICLIC. First time I ever seen one of those, I was like, what the heck is that white thing flying across the field?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how everything went?
So it all went really well. I will say that was, we were told, the first MICLIC fired at Fort Cavazos in over a decade. So it's pretty cool. And let me tell you, my chest, they always said if you had a heart palpitation, a MICLIC would fix it because it just rushes through your body. And so it was insane. It was so cool. So I got to experience it twice. So we fired 2 of them.
All right.
So I am from Gatesville originally. And so I still have a lot of friends and family there. My parents still live there. And I was texting my buddy the other day, and he was like, yo, what happened? Something went off at Fort Cavazos. And I was like, well, man, there was a MICLIC that fired. He was like, what is that? So I was sending him videos of what was going on. He was like, well, that explains it. Because it's hard to explain a MICLIC. You can show the video. But really, it's that concussion, that blast. So you see that huge boom and then the cloud of smoke, and then you just feel it through your body. It's like nothing I've ever experienced. It was really cool. Like I've been around to Bangalore and stuff, and like you get a little bit of that. But man, a MICLIC was insane. And then on top of that, you have the MICLIC go off, and then you have the tank rounds going off, the sabos firing through, and that just also kind of rattles your brain a little bit. And then you've got the paladins that are firing and another TA. You can hear them; they're going off. The whole event as a whole was very loud, but it was exciting. Like being around that and being a part of it, especially because being on staff, like I don't actually get to be in the platform itself. Getting to experience it from the outside and sort of watching it like a coach and learning, one day like I might be in one of those platforms executing the same event is pretty exciting. Like knowing, like it gave me sort of the urge of like knowing like I want to be down there. So that was fun. I enjoyed that part of it.
That sounds like a blast.
Yeah.
Literally and metaphorically, I guess.
Yeah.
So I know it was out there. It's been cold out there. What's next for you guys?
So we have Brigade FTX, our Brigade Multi-Echelon Training, where we're going to integrate a couple other systems like EW teams, and we'll have the 2 battalions versus 1 battalion. 1 battalion will be in the defense, 2 will be on the offense. We'll have more simulated like MICLICs that are going out there because there should be a pretty sizable breach that we'll face out in the TAs.
Why is it so important that we train so much?
It's important that we train so much because when you do go into a field event such as NTC, you need to be ready. So that's down to the lowest echelon from the team level all the way up to the brigade staff. We need to know exactly what it is and what we need to do. The more we train this and the more that we use all of our systems like counter UAS, the drone busters, the EW teams, every facet of our fighting
is important to know and have trained. So when we do go to NTC and we do receive all these enablers, like we're receiving like PSYOP and CA and some additional like MP platoons, we know how to integrate them into our plan to continue the fight. And so if something were to go on in the future, we're ready to go. Like we know exactly what to do and when and how to fight it. So
I like that. Keeping the cavalry lethal on all fronts. That's absolutely key.
But yeah, that's our big thing that we have coming up next. And then we have our CPX, our command post exercise, number 3. And that all leads us into NTC 2506, where we'll integrate all of our enablers, all of our partners. So we're super excited. We have all these different enablers and people that are going to come fight with us. So we want to make sure during this progression that we are executing and that we are getting down to the nitty gritty and executing the way that we need to. So when we go fight with our partners, they don't think we're just bad. You know, we are the best of the first team. We like to say it. We will win every fight, and right now I think we're proving that, and it looks really awesome the way that we're executing violently. The lethality is really high. Our weapon systems are rocking and rolling, as everybody can hear. So I know that when we do get to NTC 2506, we are going to be ready, and we are going to execute violently, and it's going to be an awesome event. It's just going to be hot.
That sounds like really, really exciting. I really kind of wish I get to go see that. But before you guys get out there and go after that, you gotta recover just a hair, right? So what do you guys got planned for the weekend? What are your plans, sir?
My plan is to continue to work. So we have, like I said, we have the Brigade FTX coming up, the Brigade Multi-Echelon Training, as it's actually called. Once that is executed, we then have CPX3. So there's no rest for us really at the moment. We have been able to do some low manning here and there, but for myself on brigade staff, sort of being one of the leaders on the brigade staff, as a battle captain, it's my job to make sure that all the systems are correct and that they're working. There is time to rest and eat dinner and not eat, MREs all the time. But our focus and where we need to be at all times is here, making sure that all the stuff is executed well, because it goes into the NTC 2506. That is our focus. We want to win. So it takes us on the staff primarily right now to go in and to execute all the things that our brigade commander needs, our S3 needs, our XO needs, and then we give the battalions the best opportunity to execute their plan as well. So those battalion commanders can go in and do what they need to do to execute and be violent and know all their systems work and give us all the reports, because when it's game time, they're going to need to trust us and we're going to need to trust them. So
all this training helps y'all stay ready.
Oh, it will. It will.
Well, I understand you guys got a lot going on, and I really appreciate your time. You coming in, stop and talk with us a little bit about what's going on. We'll have to let you get back to it, sir. I really appreciate it again. Thank you guys for joining us today, and we'll catch you later. Take care, y'all.